Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be going over an awesome level 57 double barrel build using the full digiclone tree. I know a lot of you love to do this, and so do I. This build offers a lot more survivability than you would think, and that's what we're going to get into. So before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 3 Mayhem 4 Zane builds. We are so close to hitting 20,000 subscribers on the channel, so hit that subscribe button if you want to help me reach my goal. Besides that, tomorrow is actually my birthday on Saturday. Just for you guys watching this later, I'm going to be doing a live Twitch stream on twitch.tv/thickfillet_. It's going to be a really fun and different stream than what you guys are normally used to, so come check me out. At least just come wish me a happy birthday. Anyways, let's get straight into the build. So first, in this build, we're going to go over the skill trees. So like I said, this is a double barrel build, pretty obviously going all the way down into the double barrel capstone. Now, it is a pretty simple skill point pickup and pretty easy to pick what skills we want to use. Before we get into the skill trees, I actually just wanted to hop in here real quick and talk about this build survivability. So this build completely relies on the clone for survivability. Basically, as long as the clone is alive, you can always ult you. Now, I know sometimes the clone dies before you're able to do this, but as long as you are positioning him well, as long as you are swapping. Clone swap is the key to this build survivability. So I'm using Quick Breather with which one's real. This basically will take all the aggro off of you during your clone swap. So I've been using this augment a lot more, and with Quick Breather, usually you can actually spam this enough times to where your clone will just never die. He'll have to take like a lot of damage at once to actually die if you're using Quick Breather. So I just wanted to hop in there and say that real quick. Now I'm going to break down the skill trees. We started off with 5 points into Synchronicity and Donnybrook. Then we picked all of our clone skills, borrowed time. We only need 1 point into Pocket Full of Grenades. Since we are using the See Undead class mod, our grenade regeneration is very, very strong. And besides that, we've got Supersonic Man, Boom Enhance, and Double Barrel. Now, really one thing I want to mention about this skill tree is you do not have to take Trick of the Light. I've kind of just been taking it, and I've been using the Which One is Real augment, so I think this is giving us some extra damage. Although I can't say I explicitly notice a difference, but you guys can mess around with this skill. If you don't like Trick of the Light, then just stick 3 points into Praemunitus, take 1 out of Borrowed Time, and you'll be good to go. Next, into the drone tree, we mainly just had to get that 1 point into Good Misfortune, because we're running the See Undead class mod. You guys know. Basically, See Undead and Good Misfortune will keep our action skills up forever. Besides that, I actually wanted to spend a couple points into the green tree. So this is the skill loadout I chose. Basically 3 points here, 3 points into Salvation. I can only fit 2 points into Violent Violence. You can take a point out of Cool Head and put it into Violent Violence if you want another point here. But what's really cool is the See Undead can actually have Violent Violence on it, so it's not as big of a deal. And then when it comes to playing dirty, I do kind of suggest finding a See Undead with a point or two into playing dirty. We get a lot of playing dirty uptime because of our digiclone. He spams rockets and he spams hex grenades, which can all trigger the See Undead class mod, and that helps basically like artificially put points into the skill, because the more your class mod triggers, the more chances at playing dirty you get. But yeah, pretty straightforward skill tree. And then finally into the green tree, I actually put 5 points into Ready for Action. Now this is really important in my opinion. If you have Guardian rank and you have this skill right here topped off, this is the best action skill cooldown rate in the game. This is actually 200% action skill cooldown rate. So using a skill like Ready for Action actually will ultimately get us the most cooldown possible, which is topped off. And that is at 200%. Adrenaline doesn't even compare to that. This is 35% at max points, even 70% if you put 10 points into this skill. And it just does not compare in my opinion. Ready for Action is what you want. Now, one other quick thing I want to talk about is I don't think we need the See in Red capstone. This build bosses so easily. Not only do we have all the DPS skills that every Zane build uses, like the speed skills, we have violent momentum, speed skills, like we have all the DPS skills. So we can boss just fine. You can shoot a boss with a multi-pellet weapon like a Maggie. That'll trigger all of your kill skills. Not only that, but we can actually also utilize artifacts like the cut purse and the face puncher, which gives us infinite ammo for any weapon with our digiclone. So that is just an easy way to boss. You can always spam rockets at a boss, like whatever you want. And that is pretty much it for these skill trees. So now let's get into the gear. Alrighty, so getting into the gear, this is my main loadout for this build. Now, you can change a couple things if you want. The two weapons I highly suggest running are a Brainstormer with Sentinel Cryo and a Shock Scourge. Now, the Shock Scourge doesn't matter if it has an anointment. This is the gun I give the digiclone most of the time. Paired with the Transformer, this actually boosts his survivability because enemies will run up to him to melee him, and he will literally shoot a Scourge into their face, dealing splash shock damage to himself. So this actually kind of boosts his survivability in that sense. Besides that, the Brainstormer is easily the best mobbing weapon in this build. Now, you guys are really going to want to farm for one with Sentinel Cryo. I noticed that adding bonus elements to weapons like this really give it that backbone, really give it that extra oomph. And yeah, besides that, I love the Hell Shock. This is a great pistol. This is just one of the single target weapons we can use. Another weapon I recommend is the Boomsicle. I was also playing a lot with the Krakatoa right here. I really like fire weapons with Sentinel Cryo, since we are giving the clone a Shock Scourge, and the clone will also be spamming recurring Hex Grenades. Using fire weapons with Sentinel Cryo is pretty cool in my opinion. And there are definitely multiple single target weapons you can use in this build. This, like I said, we have all the DPS skills of most Zane builds. You can use lobs, you can use shockers if you want. Just look for weapons with Sentinel Cryo. Finally, I highly recommend the Hyper Focus. This is a great gun for bossing as well. You can take down Tyreen, skipping her immunity phases. You can take down Grave Ward in one slide and shooting this weapon. This weapon is very strong. I highly recommend it. Like I said, check out ones with fire with Sentinel Cryo or even kinetic with Sentinel Cryo I've really been enjoying. I'm also going to play a Wotan fight at the end of this build breakdown, just to show you guys how well this build actually bosses and the survival you have. What's pretty cool is as long as your clone is alive, you will stay alive in this build. Your clone not only has old you, but the clone also heals you with salvation. So your clone is healing you, and since we picked a gun like the Scourge for him to spam over and over again, he's constantly going to be shooting, you're constantly going to be healing, and it's pretty great. Now, when it comes to the See Undead class mod, of course this is a clone build, so any points in Donnybrook are going to be welcome because it's going to give our clone more damage. However, I do have to say the most important rolls on this are the bottom rolls. We are looking for weapon-specific rolls, shotgun damage, SMG damage, heavy weapon damage. Those are the rolls mine has. Just match it. If you're using an assault rifle, you want assault rifle damage. I think those are the most important rolls. You might want to look for 1 point into playing dirty, because I only could manage 3 from the skill trees, and usually I do suggest at least 4 or 5. That helps get extra triggers and helps your guns shoot extra projectiles. And yeah, so moving on to the grenade, the recurring hex grenade is by far the best option. One other option I always recommend is the Quasar. Your clone will literally spam grenades. So using a grenade like the recurring hex grenade will trigger your See Undead class mod over and over again. And then, like I said, I recommend the Quasar as well. This actually adds a lot of survivability since your clone is spamming them. When enemies are flying around the map, they can't shoot you. And so it's pretty cool. Besides that, the Stormfront's pretty decent. You really want these shock grenades. The recurring hex grenade probably does the most damage. I should say that as well. So a shock recurring hex grenade will help you deplete shields along with the shock scourge. And then, like I said, you can use these fire weapons or kinetic weapons with Sentinel Cryo to get through health bars and armor bars really well. Finally, besides that, I recommend the Snowdrift Victory Rush. I always just run a Vic Rush. Look for weapon bonuses on the bottom. The Snowdrift is amazing to get those burst damage shots off. We can't really run Icebreaker in this build since we are not playing Brain Freeze. However, Sentinel Cryo with the boosted cryo efficiency can help freeze, so Icebreaker might be an option if you don't like to slide. Besides that, I honestly do just recommend running a Cut Purse. The Cut Purse artifact paired with the Face Puncher with our digiclone. This will actually give you infinite ammo for any gun you are holding. Your clone's melee will give you ammo because the clone's melee counts as your melee pretty much. So it's just a weird interaction where you can get infinite ammo for any weapon. And it's pretty cool. You can spam rockets after that. You can spam whatever you want. You can TD or chuck if you want to. It's just a really cool combo that clone builds always have access to by just keeping these two items on this. And that's why I said we really don't need C and red for bossing, because worst case scenario, you can equip a face puncher, you can equip a cut purse, and you can TD or chuck or rocket spam a boss to death, and it works out pretty well. Anyways, guys, that is really it for this build and this build breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Like I said, we are going to be doing a birthday stream tomorrow on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/thickfillet_. So come check it out. It's going to be really funny. And I mean, hopefully, you know, if I end up being funny or not. But I have something pretty cool planned that you guys will want to be a part of. Anyways, guys, that is really going to be it for me. I love these double barrel builds. It's one of the best ways to run clone and drone, in my opinion. But yeah, that's it for the build, guys. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.
Return all scouts to
Got any more for the meat grinder? You should back away. Friggin' biggin'!
Superior firepower unleashed.
Got a bit messy, but nobody's paying me for a clean takedown.
Brilliant work, Vault Hunter! That ass kicking will make Maliwan think twice before they come at us again.